considering.
You said you were not joking about a third term, about possibly wanting a third term. Does that mean you're not planning to leave office on January 20th?
I'm not looking at that, but I'll tell you, I have had more people ask me to have a third term, which is in a way a fourth term because the other election, the 2020 election was totally rigged. So it's actually sort of a fourth term in a certain way. I just don't want the credit for the second because Biden was so bad. He did such a bad job. And I think that's one of the reasons that I'm popular, if you want to know the truth. I think I'm popular because we've done a great job. I think we've had the best almost 100 days of any president. And most people are saying that. And it's an honor. We're bringing back our country. We're respected as a country again. And we're strongly respected. And people are amazed. I was with some very important people today, and they said that they've never seen a turnaround of a country as fast as this. Even look at our border. We have nobody coming in. And you can come into our country, but you have to come in legally. But we have nobody coming in to our country. It's almost shut down. They've never seen anything like this.
Is that an appropriate precedent? Limits a president to 2 terms. Is it your understanding that they have to
I
be?
don't even want to talk about it. I'm just telling you, I have had more people say, please run again. They said, we have a long way to go before we even think about that. But
He is absolutely avoiding the question. I think he's trolling. I don't think he's going to run again. If they do, I don't see how it happens. I don't see how it works. After reading the 22nd Amendment, it just can't happen. It can't happen. The reason why it can't happen is because the last president to do it was FDR. And he did it prior to the 22nd Amendment. 22nd Amendment wasn't even written. They wrote it because of him, because he did 4 terms, or he ran for 4 terms, I believe, in 1932. So I believe it was the early 1930s that he ran, and he didn't complete his 4th term. I think he died within the first year or something like that. But he ran for 4 terms. America was in shambles back then. I mean, that was the ending of the Roaring '20s, Great Depression. It was a wild, wild west. It was absolutely insane, right? And so they created the 22nd Amendment, and it specifically states, right, you can only do 2 terms. Now, the question is, can he run as a vice president and be behind the scenes, right? Can he do that? Well, I don't think the 22nd Amendment says anything against it. I don't think the 12th Amendment, which points out the rules, I guess, and regulations of a vice president, I don't think that says anything. I also looked that up, and it's kind of vague. It's vague in that you have historians and people who are experts on Constitution arguing back and forth, but there is no clear, cut answer. He can run possibly as a vice president. I don't think he'd do it, but I'm just saying there's a possibility. Now, with that being said, let me pose this question. I'll give you a little context first on what I think. I think he should follow the Constitution. I don't think he should. As much as I want him to stay in office, especially if he's producing fantastic results, of course, why change it, right? If the senators and Congress, if they can, be elected by their constituents, for decades, why can't a president, right? If a president only gets 4, 2 terms, and so should senators, I think it'll weed out corruption. Because when you're in seat and you have that power for too long, we all know the saying, absolute power, right? Corrupts absolutely. And it'll happen. It's a problem. So that's my stance on it, because you never know who you're going to get after Trump. We don't really know too much about J.D. Vance, right? We don't really know too much about his stance, but we don't know if he can make it, if he can win. And if he loses and we get some crazy Democrat that comes into office, let's just say Trump does go for a 3rd term. Well, now you give them the opportunity to now run for 3 terms as well. And if they decide they're going to do anything and everything they can to win the election, you're talking 3 terms. Shit. What makes you think that they won't do 4 terms, 5 terms? Right? So we got to be real careful as to what we want, man. And yeah, you know, a lot of people like him and they love him and all that. And they think he's doing a phenomenal job. But I think we should stick with the Constitution. With that being said, if he is doing a phenomenal job, let's just say he does balance the budget, which would be insane if he did that. Let's just say he did eliminate taxes because the tariffs are now paying for us. Let's just say he did take away property taxes. After you pay off your mortgage, you own your property. You don't have to continue paying tens of thousands of dollars or whatever the amount is because the city is still requesting money from you. It's a finesse. Owning a house is kind of a finesse. If you ask me, I mean, you never really own your property. You never really own your house. Imagine if he was able to change that. Imagine because of all the tariffs now, we're keeping all of our money in our pocket. Imagine if the $150,000, if you make under $150,000, there'll be no taxes taken out of your check. Imagine that. That would be equivalent to you making almost let's just say $50,000. That would be equivalent to you making almost $250,000 taxed. What would be the incentive? Right? What would be the incentive for you to have to go out there, work hard to get 2 jobs when you're bringing home more money? So imagine if all of that would change for the better because of Trump. Imagine it. What would your life look like? Would you want him to leave? Would you take a chance on him getting, replaced by someone else who would come in, who despises him, has Trump derangement syndrome, and reverses everything he does? For what reason, I don't know. But imagine it. That's why I think some people would want him to continue to run. And listen, I have discussions with my boys all the time, man. And I would say, yeah, we should just make Trump a king. Make him a king, right? Let him do what he does, man. Let him go through the federal government. Let him audit the federal government. And then after that, the state. And then go to the local municipalities and the counties and weed out all the corruption. Let him do it. And he should. But 4 years is not enough time for him to do it. That's the problem. And that's why people are like, yeah, let him do a 3rd term. So I don't know. What say you? Do you agree? Should he follow the Constitution, or should we, the people, elect him to be president until all of this stuff is fixed? We do it for senators. We vote our senators in. Well, actually, I don't vote them in, but we vote some of these senators to be there for decades. And look what they're doing. They tore this country apart. This is why midterms are just as important as the presidential elections. You have to vote in the midterms just the same way. If you want things to change in your county, in your local municipality, you have to work. You have to vote. You have to vote these people out and vote the people you want in. You want to change schools, and you want different things and rights for you, for your life and for your children's life, because it's not just about you, right? When you have kids, it's about your children's lives and how this world and this environment will affect them in the future. You got to vote. You got to vote during the midterms. Stop keeping these crazy people in office. Anyway, what say you? You agree, disagree? Leave it in the comment section. With that being said, I'll see you on the next one.